What's up, Hobby Maniacs? Rob Bear back again today with a look at issue 97 of the White Dwarf. Now, yes, I know, it doesn't seem like we're getting any 40k anytime soon. Hopefully, it'll just be a few weeks leading up to Christmas. No need to panic. All is okay. At least they're giving us chaos. We love chaos. I, for one, welcome our new Chaos Overlords. So this one is pretty much about Archaon's new knights, the Varanguard, I think they're called. They're really cool looking. I'm not sure about the price. $100 for 3. I mean, they look big. They look kind of like I guess a cross between like a Blood Crusher and a Chaos Knight, and I'm kind of digging that. But you know, you get to that price, and you're just like, what? I feel like a little bit. Now, they're gorgeous models, don't get me wrong. I mean, look at this stuff here. Like, I hope they're kind of like a multi-part kind of kit. I imagine if they're just as big as Archaon, that, you know, their shields are huge. And I mean, this is a 60 mil base. It looks like it could be bigger, but it's hard to tell scale-wise from this. I mean, you figure these are 40 mil bases, so they actually might be bigger. It's hard to say. I guess until it goes up on pre-order and we know exactly what size base they come on, there's kind of hard to tell. So then we're also getting the Chaos Battle Tome Ever Chosen, which is, you know, Archaon's basic codex for the Age of Sigmar. And there's a limited edition one, there's a normal one, that looks to be the normal one, and then there's a limited edition one right there. Looks like the Solar Auxiliary with Storm section with power axes is out. Actually, I think it's out already. The paint splat article is really good. Gives you some variety on some golds. Of course, black armor is always interesting. Some red claws, some alternates, and doing the shading and stuff like that. Getting in there. Mutilated flesh, kind of a new one. Leather, always cool to see. Some different horns and kind of techniques on the actual doing the horns, because Chaos is weird. Like, their horns are weird. They're more brown towards the tips instead of like the reverse, and they always seem to have like gold and stuff on them. So there's always that. And then there's a really cool feature in here on Gentleman's Iron Warriors army. What was his name? Roland Underwood. Now, Roland, you did a great job. I mean, kudos to you, kids. Like, who else has this many knights, you know, regular plastic knights, Cerestus pattern, 2 Reavers, and, you know, obviously not even counting the normal troops that you have in here, and of course the Warlord, of course, right? It's a gorgeous looking army. It really is. I would like to offer a little bit of constructive criticism. Being an airbrush artist myself, I understand that you save so much time using an airbrush on bigger models that it is oftentimes intoxicating to how much power and how quickly you can make stuff look so good, right? But keeping that in mind, I always feel like that the time you save doing that gives you extra time to go back with the paintbrush and tighten up details, and also do a little contrast shading and things like that. Like, I mean, normally, I mean, 80%, 90% of paint jobs out there, this is better than them, right? It's got detailing, it's got weathering, you know, he went back, he did the plasma coils and things like that. But me personally, what I feel it lacks is a bit of contrast around, you know, the darkened areas where there would be contrast, you know, down here in the armor joints and things like that, like the space between the trim, and then also, you know, some areas in here as well. Like, you can go back, you can hit that up with you know, basically a different color, because you're going to have to work in the trim with a paintbrush, and you're also going to do a wash as well. So you did the patterns and you did the detail, and it's great. But another point of advice is going with a brush, an actual pointed brush, and hit those areas, those raised edges, with some white in there, and it'll really pop. It'll get that hyper highlights going. It'll really pop it, and you can see it too. I mean, don't get me wrong, this Warlord Titan is gorgeous. However, a little bit extra time going around the plates, you know, around getting that contrast right there, because it's very striking, but there isn't a lot of darker contrast. Like, you can see the darker bone contrast, and he went in there and he got into the actual crevices itself. But other than that, there isn't like a darker kind of contrast to contrast the rest. You look at this and immediately you see brightness. Like, I see brightness. My eyes are not drawn to anything. You know, had we seen some plasma glow here with some white hyper highlighting, you know, around these areas as well, that helps pull the eyes in, focus on one area, and then it kind of pulls you out to like some of the areas, like up here where the purple plasma. And I like purple. I really like that choice, because purple is basically a blue. And also reds. This red has purple in it. This isn't a brown red. This is actually a purple red because it's brighter. Brown reds tend to be darker or more richer. So you can kind of tell here this is a purple red. So it goes perfectly. But get in there with a brush and hit those straight edges with like some white to really make it pop and contrast and things. So again, just some constructive criticism from a fellow airbrushed artist. Gorgeous looking stuff. This will inspire 90% of the readers in here, 95% of the readers. But for me, I'm like, I feel like there's a couple little things you could do to really put this over the top and take it to that next level, so to speak. And speaking of next level, obviously I learned all this stuff from Kenny Boucher over at Next Level Painting, right? So a little bit of an airbrush criticism right there, but again, really good job, amazing looking stuff. So in here too, they kind of give the I guess kind of like the story, the back fluff to the Varanguard, which is the Varanguard, like the Billy Badasses, the chosen, so to speak, of Archaon itself. And then there's the actual rules for them right in here for Age of Sigmar. Then it gets into a really interesting section that nobody saw coming, which is the Horus Heresy. And this is just part one, because remember, there's like 40 of these novels, right? There's so many novels out there, it's so hard to keep track. And not only do you have novels, you have audio dramas, right? You have there's also short stories, there's all sorts of stuff. There's limited edition books, which I guess I can't say anymore because they tend to reprint these things still like 2 hours later or whatever, right? So this basically, if you want to learn about like a specific topic, they give you this flow chart, like what to read in what order and go here, you know what I mean? Like you can do this and then you can kind of split off and you kind of work your way across into things, and then it kind of comes back in and doubles back. So that was really cool to see, and there's a whole bunch of them. There's like 10 of them in here, and then this is just part one is what they're saying, you know what I mean? So, and then of course there's some essential reading. Now some of those audio dramas are really expensive, but the cool part about them is once you buy them, you can always go back and log in to Blacklight and re-download them to a different device. Say you have your iPizzle or your iPaddy or your iPhone. One of those is on iPhone, but anyways, you can always download them and kind of listen to them again. And then we get to the back where they start talking about the spoilers and the teasers and basically the pricing for the stuff this week. The Battle Tome Ever Chosen is $58. So it's basically like a big 40K codex, something on par with like the Space Marines. Then you got the actual Varanguard themselves, the Knights of Ruin, which are $100 for 3. I think it's 3. It says 3 miniatures, so I'm going to go with that. Hopefully it's a typo. Hopefully you get 5. A little bit more reasonable, I feel like, but I'm pretty sure they know what they're talking about. And then there's some paint guides and things like that, and the Battle Tome, limited edition, the digital edition, all that stuff. Then we got the spoiler. Apparently it's going to be a high-flying sorcerer. Sounds like Tzeentch to me. I don't know. We haven't seen it yet, but hopefully that is what it is, because it'll be super exciting. I feel like we haven't seen a lot of Tzeentch love in a hot minute. We've seen plenty of Nurgles and plenty of just Chaos Undivided, so to speak, with the Archaon stuff from the end times and the now times. And then also we've seen the Berserkers, all the crazy Berserkers that came out with the Chaos release for Age of Sigmar itself. So now we're starting to get into some unfamiliar, familiar territory, I feel like. We're starting to see Age of Sigmar rumors for, weeks. We're going into about week 3 leading up to Christmas. Now, just a little backstory. Games Workshop generally do not do releases up until last year. They did a couple releases in December. It was the Blood Angel stuff, the Exterminatus, the Deathstorm, all of that Shield of Baal stuff. And then generally they do like, they rely on the Advent calendar stuff, obviously, which the Path to Glory, Path to Chaos kind of thing this year. Some people are upset with it. Some people don't like it. I've been hearing from folks that they don't like how it's supposedly a skirmish game that has Land Raiders and Helldrakes. Like, why? That doesn't even make sense. And some people are like, hey, it's cool. It's something different. I like the Path to Glory for Warhammer Fantasy back in the day, so I'm digging it. A couple different opinions there. But the real question is, did they learn from their mistake with Age of Sigmar? If we see 3 months of Age of Sigmar, it will literally put everybody on tilt. Like, seriously, Games Workshop, if you're hearing this right now, like, fix your shit. Like, nobody wants that. And I don't mean to be overly negative, but it needs to be said. Like, the summer was absolutely dismal. It was after the initial, like, 3 weeks of, okay, this is cool. All right, we got it. That turned into 3 months. You know, stores were reporting terrible things from the customers. You know, if you're not a G-Dub store and you're an independent retailer, or you know an independent retailer, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm saying. Like, it was a dismal summer sales-wise for a lot of independent retailers. There was a lack of communication on Games Workshop's part. There was a lot of problems, a lot of issues that arose from this Age of Sigmar rollout that we don't need to see repeated, quite frankly. Like, it's not good for the hobby. It's not good for the industry. It's going to put people on tilt. And there's plenty of other game systems out there that are ready and willing to, you know, to get new players playing their stuff. So I'm just telling you, Games Workshop, if you're listening to my videos, stop fucking up. Like, Age of Sigmar, it's cool, but don't force it down our throats. Splash it in, baby steps. You got to earn our trust back. You burned us. You got to earn our trust back. You know what I mean? So that being said, I'm just going to leave it right there. Exciting looking models, very cool stuff on the way. Archaon model is a absolute beast. Check out that unboxing here on the channel. It should already be up or going up here shortly as well.